Okay, yeah. This will be my last video, I believe. Uh, but I would like to just talk about a subject that other people have talked about it, and they probably have more educated videos than I do, and have done more research on it. I guess maybe, I don't know. I haven't certainly watched them all, but this video was on religion, and you can basically end the world with one sentence. Religion isn't real. It's a lie. It's fake. That's the truth. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm, for some reason, hell-bent on truth. And it is the truth. Allow me to break... Oh my God, I almost said break it down. See how that ingrains in your brain. Anyway, allow me to explain. Nothing, not one single thing in any religious book, in any religion, at any time, anywhere, by anyone has ever been proven real. Not one thing. Test it. Anyone that claims that there is proof of any kind is a lying asshole. Because there isn't. Ever. There never has been. There never will be. It was made up. Why would someone do this? For money and power. That's it. Whatever spin-off, the truth of community on anyway has been flooded with people that are paid to fuck it up, basically. And I can name wiki pages that the stuff on there is not true. On some of them that I've tried to do research on, it's a good old-fashioned confusion campaign, or whatever you feel like calling it. But the last thing that the religious community and the owners of this world have no illusions, there are some, ever want, is people knowing the truth. Especially in the United States, because we have laws here against most of what they do. And even though they're above the law and have no illusions, they are. They can still be prosecuted if the American people insist on it. It would be a big, but let me, before I go into further depth, I do believe that any plan for this, if people find out the truth and they start revolting, the plan is to kill us. They will murder everybody on Earth before they will give up their money and power. Trust that. Trust that, as stupid people believe there's a God. And allow me to go into that. God does not exist. There is no God. There is no God. There is no devil or Satan. There is no angels. There are no demons. There isn't any of that. There is no magic. Not once, anywhere, by anyone, at any time, has ever acknowledged, seen, or recorded any magical event in all of human history. Not once. Got a lot of bullshit lies. Got a lot of scam artists and false people. And I can talk about that. If you are one of these people that, like priests and bishops, you may believe most of them, at least the higher up ones, especially the Pope, and all of the cardinals, they're the ones that make the decisions, and in joint with the other religious leaders. They jointly discuss what's going to happen. There's supposed to be one on Cinco de Mayo for the Christian group, but there'll be others there. Anyway, anyone that's preaching this you are completely fake. You are nothing more than a liar. And you are destroying and have been destroying humanity. And by that I mean we are so far behind in the evolvement of our species because of the religious lie. It's so pitiful. It's beyond pitiful. Now, at some point, someone should realize that with so much bullshit that has been done for thousands of years, and not just religion, all kinds of fucked up, stupid shit that people have done, systems they've created that are terrible, all kinds of stuff. At some point, anyone that has any kind of self-respect or semblance of unity in any kind of love or loving fashion to their fellow man and woman, there will come or should come a point where someone will realize and stand up and say, wait a minute, we're going to have to at some point sacrifice our time and part of our lives to fix some of this shit that assholes, scumbags, perverts, and psychopaths and evil people have done. There's some point where, at least partially, collectively, as a human race, people will have to come together and decide, all right, let's fix some of this stuff. We're going to have to do it. Let's do it for future generations. Let's do it. And there's whole pockets of people that have been trying for decades. Maybe even longer than that, as far as being recorded and financed groups and things that, Greenpeace and these types of things, which have saved some things, but nothing's changed. So pretty much a wasted effort. I mean, if you look at it that way. But at some point, we're going to have to decide, wait a minute, we're going to have to clean up the trash. We're going to have to revise the systems. We're going to have to revise the education. We're going to have to actually collectively decide what is best for the human race. Not a small group of people, which is the way it's been ever since monarchy families murdered a bunch of people and became monarchs. Basically, that's how it happened. It's certainly not appointed by God. You may, oh yeah, when? You know what I mean? That whole thing's a fucking lie. They just murdered a bunch of people. People didn't want to get killed, so that's why they don't say anything now. They are so well protected. Every system on Earth is designed, and we're born into it, to protect what they do. And last I understood, there was about 8,000 people that own and run the world, of almost 8 billion. That's impressive. They are above what we would call the 1%. They're not counted in anything, except with themselves and what they own. They own all of the real estate. All of the land, anywhere. These people own all the businesses, all the corporations, all the medical. They own all the entertainment. Anything that you can think of, this 8,000 people own it all. There's little mom and pop shops, of course. There's little businesses, little things. They get loans from the bank. They own the banks. They own everything. And if you really look at it closely, they own your house. Everyone's house in this country. You don't own it. You pay rent. You don't believe me? Try not paying your property taxes and see what they do. They will be fast as lightning to take your property from you. That's what that is. Even though your house may be paid off, they'll take it. You are renting it. You are renting their land. You don't own anything. Don't believe me? Investigate it and find out for yourself. You should learn this anyway if you own a house. You should know. Anyway, back to religion. Religion is the tool and the preface that controls everything else. That's how they are able to keep their systems together. There's only one thing in no matter what anybody thinks of. There's only one way to change that, and to literally free everybody from that type of control. This, and you're born into it. Almost everybody is. And that's truth. People have to tell the truth. You wouldn't think it would be that hard, but let me tell you, the last 2.5 years of my life have been hell because of that word. Do I care? No. What my goal is infinitely more important than anything that I personally have been through, and I've been through some shit. Not just in the last 2.5 years, but anyway. I have a series of videos that I made. I privatized all of them. This one I'm going to leave public and open, and I'm going to post it in several places. Only because of what it is. It'll be the last one that I post. Because I don't believe the truth community anymore. I don't even believe the lying community, that what their goal is that they're trying to do. I think they're screwing it up. I do not believe some of what the Q movement has turned into. I would support, but for the most part, no. I'm completely out of that. And even though I answered a post today only because it was just too stupid and nervy. But anyway, there is no, if you think that there is a true news source out there, there isn't. Because if you are telling the truth, believe me, they will cut you off as fast as they can. And social media platforms are flooded with people that do nothing all day and all night, and they're all over the world, except sit and tool around social media looking for any hint of this or whatever they're doing. If you don't believe me, start posting shit. See what happens. It's happened to me. I know firsthand. Do I really care? No. In fact, just a few minutes ago, with a phone, an old phone that I had that has no cell service, it hasn't been connected in years. There's no phone number attached to it. There's no SIM card in it. I took it out. I just powered it on, and I'm using it as a little mini computer just to make these types of videos, and then wirelessly put it on my channel. Started to take pictures of me on its own, which obviously not on its own, somebody was taking pictures. So I gave them the middle finger. The first one I think they got off was a good one, but the phone beeps. Beep, 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 then it flashes and takes a picture. I'm not doing that. Phones just don't do that on their own. Somebody was doing it. I'm dealing with this shit for the last 2.5 years. It's fucking nervy and aggravating. And Christ help. Well, actually, there is no Christ. See how well that's ingrained? If I ever find out who's doing it. Anyway. I don't care the government or not. But whatever. Religion. Never has been real. Who made it up? The Jews did. Well, actually, let me stop that before everyone, anti-Semitic. I have a Jewish family, so fuck you. But religion has been around a lot longer than Judaism. And here's why I said that first. Because they're the ones that wrote the biggest, with the exception of the Quran, the Islamic Quran. They wrote the Torah, they wrote the Talmud. There's two others in Judaism. And they wrote the Christian Bible in Greece. These were Jewish people that did this. Why did they do this? And it's actually adopted from the Canaanite religion that was before all of that, and then whatever religion was before all of that, and whatever religion was all before that. They didn't write books and things about them way back. They didn't do any of that. It was a social belief. It was again, there would be a priestess or a priest and type and they would proclaim things, and if you didn't follow it, you were killed. That was just how it was. So little pocket communities of these people that believed all kinds of things. But when society started to get much bigger, and there's a lot more money, there's a lot more people, there's a lot more industry, there's mass food, farms that they're growing mass food, there's systems of transportation, there's it's horse and wagon, but you could pay someone, a shekel or whatever it was, ruby, whatever they did, and they would take you to the next town and that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of these things. The Romans are the ones that really started to balloon industry and that kind of stuff. But it is the easiest way because you don't have to prove anything and you don't have to do anything except pay someone to preach. That is the only thing any religion has to do. Judaism is a little different. They, in the Jewish community, if before your bar mitzvah or bas mitzvah or whatever, there's a lot of study that's involved. You have to memorize a lot of things. You have to read from the Torah. You have to basically prove that you believe this, you are in this, you are serious about it, you are a true Jew and whatever. However you want to describe it. That's all bullshit. All of it is bullshit. Again, if you read the 4 books of Judaism, and Christianity is a little bit lighter, but a lot, they're only about, I would say maybe 10 pages of being, different, of being the same book. That's just my opinion. You have the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that is the same book. It's all included anyway. Judaism, you boil it all down. If you had to condense every religion, every mass religion that exists today, that people follow, that are the biggest money makers, that are the biggest influence on everything that we do, including all laws, all leadership, all laws, all money, all religion is behind all of that. All of it. You don't believe me? Investigate it. That's why they never, ever publish who owns all these things. They publish CEOs and CFOs, who is responsible for running the company, who's paid to run it, not the owners. And it's very rare that the CEOs are the owners, but sometimes they are. Sometimes they don't trust anybody else, they want to do it themselves, or they're ordered by someone with more money and power than them to run it themselves, or whatever happens. Most of the time, it's, the owners stay hidden, they live their life. They own the places that normal nobodies like me will never see. Like the Epstein Islands. And there's so many more islands out there. It's happening. They get what they want and they don't care. They never think about the laws. They are above the law. That is the truth. If you don't believe me, and you don't believe that this is the truth because you have faith or whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're fooled. When has, and let me follow that with some questions that you can ask yourself to prove this. What has God ever done? Oh, he got me a job. No, he didn't. You did. Well, he got me a new car. No, he didn't. You did. Well, he healed my mother-in-law, or she had cancer. No, he didn't. The Pope, the head of the Catholic religion, stated recently that the coronavirus is a direct result of God's wrath against man because of global warming. And we're rude to each other. If God is that close, and was real, there is no way to fix global warming. The entire thing is a scam from scumbag liars that get together and formulate these bullshit things to make money because they want to be a part too. How can you possibly fix, even if everything that we're doing is heating the planet up to the point where all the glaciers are going to melt, the polar ice caps are going to melt, and it will raise the sea level 25 to 35 feet, effectively flooding 95% of humanity because they all live on the coast. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to put giant air conditioners in the atmosphere? No. There is no way to fix that, even if we did do it. It's a scam. How could you possibly fucking fix that? Tell everybody to stop driving? Well, all of these people travel in limousines that are bulletproof. Most of them bulletproof. Some of them never leave their land, their estate or whatever it is. That's, immense. They could walk for days and still be on their own property. So some of them never leave that. So, I mean, they don't drive anyway, but think about for a minute how much money that we'll say the Catholic Church has. Nobody knows. Why? It's a non-profit organization. Everybody should know every penny the Catholic Church has, but you will never see a figure, and nobody will ever tell you. Why? That means it's a lie. Why wouldn't it do that? The government publishes numbers a year after it spends its money. It's bullshit. And they're not real anyway. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the government, and all they do is print money. They actually physically make the money and then sell it to the federal government, our government, us, for profit. So every dollar is like $1.10 or whatever it is, whatever percentage. And now, because of this little bailout thing, we owe $2 trillion that they're printing now and flooding the market, which will destroy the dollar in the world. It'll be worth nothing. And we're going to have to pay interest on that as taxpayers. We pay that. They don't pay that. We're allowed to live as long as we pay it. That's really the exchange. They're not doing us any favors. None of them. Doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. None of that crap makes any difference. What difference is it making? What are they really doing for you? Nothing. They're blowing smoke in your asshole. That's all they're doing. Even if they even do that. We don't even get that anymore. The coronavirus is fancy talk for cold or flu. That's it. It's a different strain of SARS. What do we have, like 15 deaths from SARS? Even still, with all the numbers in the world, more people have died from accidents in their home bathrooms than have died from this virus. Yet, can anyone even remember they didn't know for the Spanish flu, and that was nasty, at the turn of the 19th century, or 1900, whatever, around World War I-ish. They didn't quarantine people for that. Not till almost everybody that got it died. And most people would just leave the dead in their beds, or, you know what I mean? It was terrible, but it's nothing like this. I believe that the truth has penetrated to a point where they have realized that lies that they have been telling for so long, I mean, it's generational, right? In order to keep it going, you have to develop the religion in a way so that the next people that take over, because, we only dance on earth for a very short time, someone's got to keep this going if they're going to keep the control. And their families, their legacy families, they change their names every so many generations or whatever. The Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and the Rothschilds, which they've kept their name, but there's a lot of them now. there's a lot of these families. The Sassoon family, there's a lot of them. Again, there's I think it's just over 8,000 people. Then they are the ones that direct the religious leaders. If you think you think the Pope is actually in charge, you're a fool and you're an idiot. But there's no way to know that, so maybe you're not. If you don't believe it, he's not. So, and I will prove that with this. If you think that the Catholic Church is actually doing what the Bible instructs them to do, well, parts of it they are. Priests in the beginning of Catholicism were allowed to marry. And then about 1,000 years ago, the Pope decided, no, we're not marrying anybody. Well, he was gay. So he didn't want the priest married. And you think, and I'm just going to throw that in there real quick. Since there's no God, and men wrote this, claiming divine influence, writing it, yeah, bullshit. That's the only divine influence we've ever had. You know what I mean? God is all omnipotent, can create everything, including us, and he can't write a fucking book. That's so stupid. It's the stupidest thing ever. It's just dumb. So, but a lot of people believe it. They're raised that way. They don't know any better. They don't know any different. They would claim me some, blasphemy or whatever else, even though nobody can speak for a God. That, and God doesn't need anybody, especially men or women, mere worthless mortals, defending him. Why would a God need you? If I was a God, I wouldn't want anybody talking for me, ever. Because they'd never get it right, would they? Nope. And use your brain, think logically. Everything in the universe operates on a logical scale and cycle. Everything does, including us, our bodies, even the way we think. Most of the time, our thought processes as human beings is a very logical. We have 5 senses. We use them to decide our entire navigation and need. It's a very logical system. Just saying. To start whisking off, we have imaginations. That's how this is able to endure for so long. We whisk off into imagination and something stupid happens, like a meteor or comet hits, causes a fire. Oh my God, that's God. He's mad at something because it killed people. I get it. I understand it. That's not real. It just happens to be a comet or meteor crashed into the earth. It was not thrown by anybody. It wasn't directed to murder anybody. It's a fucking rock. It's not thinking about murdering people and then choosing which ones and then falling there on purpose. That's idiocy on a great scale. That's just stupid. But people believe this. Catholicism preaches and teaches all natural disasters are a result of God's wrath for something that mankind did that was bad or wrong. Well, that's successful because there's no such thing as any society or group of human beings that always does everything right. So you can always justify that. That's the case with every single religion and any logical question you could ask. There is always a fallback of mystery where you just have to accept it. And they call that faith, which is the same meaning as bullshit. So every time you hear the word faith, think bullshit. Because that's the truth. If you don't believe me, test it out for yourself. Test it out. There's a million ways to test and prove that there is no such thing as any God, any devil, any of this is real. None of it. If this is the intent, and it was real, and God tapped specific Jewish men and their brains to write a book. I am God. I want you to write this. I want you to do this. And of course, the Jewish community believes that they are God's chosen. Well, it's really pompous. And that is a red flag right there. Why would God choose one specific people that he favored and then allow a bunch of other people to be born that he doesn't like? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And again, if you boil all religion down to, say, 2 sentences each, Judaism is men own everything, women are nothing except sex slaves. Men are allowed to murder. Men can decide if their children live or not. When they're born. Orthodox Judaism heavily believes in abortions. Why is that? Because they're allowed to fuck even their own children if they want to, and it happens frequently. If they get pregnant, they don't want the baby. Many times in incestuous sex, the children are born deformed anyway. So many times the father or an uncle or brother, someone will help them. They will abort the baby. Even after birth abortions. As soon as the baby is born, they'll kill it. They call it partial abortion or whatever it is. No, it ain't by murder. You murdered it. But it's written. You don't believe me? Read the fucking text, because it is in the religious books that they teach and follow